Okay, so welcome back to Learning Together. Of course, this is a series of interviews that we're doing via Google Meet, where we have an opportunity to shine a spotlight on some of our teaching and support staff and a lot of the creative and innovative things that they're doing to try and support our students and their families while our schools remain closed during the COVID-19 pandemic. And joining me today on the line, we've got Bobby Brooks. Bobby is a grade 6 teacher at St. Teresa of Calcutta Catholic Elementary School. Welcome, Bobby.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So before we get started, obviously I want to talk about some of the things that you've done to help your students. Just wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit, Bobby. How long you been with our board, and how long you been at St. Teresa?
I started with the board in 2002 as a supply teacher. I did 3 years. Lucky enough to get long terms. So I was at Langlois for a year doing kindergarten. If I know a lot of people are like, seriously, but I did kindergarten for those first 3 years, weirdly. I worked at Holy Cross for a whole year long term in kindergarten, SK. And then I did a short bit at Vianney for about 4 months or so. And it was also in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And then I got hired permanently in 2005, that fall, to St. Bernard. So I was at St. Bernard until it became St. Teresa, or until it closed and we moved over next in the backyard. So I've been with that neighborhood since 2005-06 school year.
Great. So a lot of experience then with us. So just, of course, schools have been closed since March break, and we've all been on this journey together, this continuity of learning journey together. Just tell me a little bit about, kind of how it's been going generally for you so far, and how it's been going for your students.
I think everybody's probably in the same boat. We were all like super keen at the beginning and trying to, find all of this work. The board was kind enough and eager enough, and you have some good people there working behind the scenes. Sometimes you guys don't get all the glory either, and we see they put all of the distance learning for us available. Then they did it for the parents too, which we posted out. I don't know how many of our parents have checked it out, but was a godsend, right? When you needed, how do I do this? And it was a big learning curve, I think, for people. We're in a one-to-one situation at St. Teresa, or in our class anyway. We're grade 6, so we're the top of the food chain there. We don't go past grade 6 at St. Teresa. So the grade 6s do get Chromebooks pretty much for the whole day. And so we do incorporate a lot of tech, and we're using the Google Drive. We've been doing that for probably 5 or 6 years, because we were doing it at Bernard too. And Jules was doing it as well. And so was Lourdes. So all of those schools had been part of projects or the Google when it first started. So we were already there, but then how do we do this? How do we deliver this now, right? And so fortunately, again, I was saying earlier to you, I blame you, because I was doing the tech, not the tech. I was not doing the tech. I was doing the social media for the school before we went on strike and everything. And it's something I like to do. So I was doing that, and you were like, you need to get on Facebook and brand the school. And so because of that, I was never on Facebook. I wasn't a big fan, but I ended up joining a couple of groups that March break, and kind of listening to other people and their ideas. So it was thank goodness for that, right? To help us on that learning curve. So pretty sure everybody's in the same boat though.
Yeah. So what kind of levels of engagement have you been seeing? I know it sort of varies from school to school, but are you finding that the vast majority of your students are online and using Google Classroom and like I guess are you reaching these people?
We were using Google Classroom already, so I didn't think it would be hard. I thought, they're gonna just go into their Google Classroom. They know how to check email. This is going to be super easy for them. It's going to be less work, actually, because we're not assigning for all subjects, and it's an hour of them working. And but that would include me sending like a Loom video as instruction. So I'm like, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. No, they're not going to be fine, right? So I'm getting this week. I just actually checked 50% are turning things in, and that means daily. Like they're turning it in daily, and we switched our platform this week, so the way we're delivering, it's a little bit different, and I think that maybe have engaged a bit more kids. The Google Meets early on, it was new, it was fun. Oh, we get to see everybody. Now kids are like, no, and they just automatically turn off their cameras now. They don't care. They just want to hear each other. I think they don't really care about the show and tell part, even though they're only like 11 and 12 years old. Some kids will, some kids hate talking like this. They don't like it. So I'm getting about, I'd say 50% this week. Last week was sort of like thirds. I've got a third of the group not doing anything. Got another third that are hit and miss throughout the week. And then I've got another third that are completely keen, doing everything.
So what are those
probably what class is like, right? I never really thought about it, but it probably is the truth, right?
The ones that are you're not reaching, what are you doing to try and keep them engaged? I assume there's got to be some follow up.
So I've actually spoken to, like, we called all of our parents earlier on, like that would have been the first week after the break. We were talking to our parents. I just called through Google Hangout, and then they don't know your phone number. Maybe that's why a couple didn't answer. I'm also on Remind app. So I was already on that. So that's our agenda. I don't have a paper agenda. We've always used Remind. So I had 25 out of 27 kids on Remind already. So I was missing 2. And then the one I had called the parent, I didn't get an answer. I still actually haven't spoken to the child or the parent, but the boy has emailed me twice, finished one assignment in the 5 weeks and emailed me twice, I believe. So they do have, I thought it might have been like not having a Chromebook or not having internet and things, because we also asked that even before the offer was made to get equipment to the kids. I just wanted to know where we were at. And he obviously had a device and has internet, but it's maybe just a choice or there's no support. And then another child unfortunately lost his father during, not because of this, but just before this. So it might have been during the break. And so he's moved back with his mom. He's just not there, right? Emotionally, he's not there. And I understand that, but I've been in contact with the mom. So that's good. So it's like, I'm only missing 2 kids really one kid that I haven't really talked to, but there's probably a few of them. I've done video chats on Google Hangout with them. I've done meets. I invited them. I have sent reminders to their parents to say, I noticed they're not engaged. If there's anything I can do to take that school part off your plate, let me know. Some people have gotten back, oh, I didn't know, I didn't know that they weren't doing anything. And for some kids, it just hasn't changed at all. So it becomes like a weekly, yep, they haven't done anything this week, but just want to let you know, and we hope you're doing well. And if there's anything we can do, some people just aren't there, right? And it's hard. But some people are still working.
It sounds like a little bit of it has to do with just trying to find that balance. If you're not reaching, they might not necessarily be participating through Google Meet or through Classroom or some of the other things. There's still ways to reach them, whether you're using Remind app or whatever the case may be to get to them. Correct?
Yeah, for sure. Remind's like a blessing for sure. I'm so glad we had that up and running. I feel for our colleagues that weren't there, that were using a paper agenda and then had to like not even relearn, had to learn how to use all of that technology. It would have been like completely overwhelming for their students too, for their families too. I see that there's some people there. My students, it could just be where they're at, like emotionally or going through all of this too. But thank God that we had Remind and Google Classroom and Gmail. Like they knew how to use all of that stuff. So our class was lucky that way.
Was there, it sounds like you were kind of already there, that you already had, these certain apps that you're using, Google Classroom. Was there much of a learning curve that you had to go through?
Me, no, not so much, except for like extensions on the Google, on Google. Like and it was awesome to watch this happen too, how Google responded so quickly to what was needed. It was like a giant experiment that first week after March break, all these teachers getting on Google Meet, right? And wait, I don't want my kids in there without me, and I don't want, how do I boot these kids off if they're being inappropriate, and how they responded so quickly to that. And then the teachers need to control everything. So to have grid view, which is an extension on with Google, I was like, that's a godsend to be able to see.
Right now.
Yeah. And then you needed that extension, and then they switched it to be, I think it's up to 16 now in a grid. It automatically loads that way, but it wasn't. And I'm like, I don't like just seeing 4 people. I need to see all of them.
Sure.
Right. And then learning to wait, I can just enter the Meet through my iPad, and then I can watch the chat on the iPad, watch the kids on my computer. I can split my screen, and like learning how to do all of those things was like, it was fun because I'm like, I just need to do that, and then I'll be all set. And then you were learning something new almost every single day. I think I still am though.
Yeah. So in terms of that learning, you've been doing some networking, and I believe you wanted to show me a certain Facebook group that you belong to. That's kind of a wide thing that that people have been using, that teachers have been using to share information and best practices and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'll just present my screen. Just give me a second here. There we go. Okay, so this, again, like I said, it was Steven's fault that I'm in Facebook. I had it, but he made me do it for school because I needed to control the school's page, and I had to have an account. So I do have an account, and I stumbled across this group, or I was invited to this group. I can't remember how it happened now, but it was around March break. And Joe Sasso is the what would you call it? Like the leader, the organizer of the group. So it is a private group, but it's called Teachers Helping Teachers. It's up here, Continuous Learning in Ontario. Sure. And it was predominantly our staff, like for Windsor Essex Catholic. That was like everybody I saw. I saw my cousins on here. I was like, oh my gosh, they're on here. How are they doing? So checked in with them. They work for the board too at different schools. And so lots of ideas were coming out, and people just like ask questions and stuff. I don't know, like so here's one right now. People are sharing even read alouds, right, with links if you wanted to use them. That's coming up in the feed. I haven't read it actually today. This person's a superstar, Kelly Campbell Dries. I believe you said she's with our board too. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I love that it says rising star right beside, probably because she's contributed so much to the group. So sometimes she drops in funny stuff, but she's very knowledgeable about the tech aspect and how to get kids to engage. So she's posted a lot of different things, and you kind of just scroll through. Sometimes people ask questions, and then you just have to say, oh my God, I had that same question, and kind of sort through it. But I know you can search as well. So that was one of the places, I guess, I stumbled on, or the groups I stumbled on in Facebook. The other one was, it's called Ed Tech Hacks, and not board run, but I believe the girl is from Ontario as well. I'll see if I can get that to come up here. I used her a lot. And if I didn't like the way I'm like, I don't know if that'll work with me. I found other people on YouTube that I just would YouTube it. Like, how do I do this? Mm-hmm. So she has different things too. It's interesting though, like how now you don't even really go to it because now you get used to it, right? You don't need their help as much. So it's kind of interesting.
So that's helped you along in your journey a fair bit then, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm not even like one to troll all over the social media, but like I was telling you earlier, I've been on Twitter just professionally. I don't use it for home or anything. And just had followed a bunch of people and kind of gathered all these people that I'm like, that's a really smart, mostly for math, interestingly. And then because of the people they follow and they post or like a comment, I'm like, you meet other people. So you kind of grow like your professional learning network online. And you think, oh my gosh, that's a good idea. And just bookmarking different ideas and saying, maybe I'll try that with the kids, right? And I had been doing that before, but it's been a godsend, really, social media in that way. Social media has become more social instead
Mhm.
of more, like, filled with hate, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing. The other thing that we talked about that I think originally how I've sort of brought you into the program here
Mhm.
has to do with something that your principal shared with me, and that was a digital workbook that you had created for your student that
Yeah.
it looks like it's been a real nice sort of just an overall lesson planning tool that you've been able to create online. Can you tell us a little bit about that and about how you're using that to help support your students?
Yeah, sure. I'm just like maybe foo-foo. I don't know. Uh, I don't know if that's really what it is. But I stumbled again across. I don't even know how I hit this, but it's called Slides Mania, and it has all kinds of Google Slide templates, and that's really where this comes from. You'll I don't know. I guess I could go into present mode. It'd probably be easier to see, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's in the corner, so you can get a copy of the slide. It's right there, slidesmania.com. And I was in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to deliver this day by day. And I was delivering it day by day, just using a Google Doc because it was the easiest and fastest way to get it out. That first week, we went back after the 2 weeks off when the ministry was taking care of it. So I'm like, I'll just send it in Google Docs, which wasn't me. And I was really mad about that because I'm like, I just feel like I'm photocopying work. It doesn't feel like school. And because that's not what we do. I don't photocopy. I don't just push out product all the time. There's a lot of and I think a lot of us don't do that. But so I'm like, I got to get this to feel more like school. And so like how would I do that? And I think even Joe has done this. This idea of like hyperlinking everything. This isn't very like this is just this week, so it's not very hyperlinked. But Joe Sasso had pushed out a template sort of like this, where if you need me, this is where I'm going to be. Just a quick at a glance. Maggie had suggested it to my principal, Maggie Dorian. If we show the parents a week at a glance, it's just easier, right, for them to see. And I had been trying to accommodate everybody, like, oh, I'll do a 10 o'clock meet and on one day, my office hours, and then I'll do it another day in the afternoon for the kids who aren't getting up. And then I was just bombarded with so many emails, like asking questions about, and I felt like I was saying it 27 times to every kid, right? Like you're just saying it to each child individually. And well, I wasn't getting 27, but like you just felt like you're repeating yourself and it was overwhelming. So we just switched it actually. You see here, I just added new. We live school meet
Just in like a simple question, but so how do you share this with your
through
students
Google. Yeah, each
through
kid.
Google?
So I post this, and even this has come about. Like the kids aren't reading these pages, right? These are for us. There's a prayer. There's our learning goals. The
Yeah.
kids, the kids are like, okay, whatever, miss. I don't need those first 4 pages.
Right.
This is my template, right? When I was using it for school, I go through it with them. We say prayer together. We go over the learning goals like I would in class, and then this was our math activity. I found this on Twitter or somewhere, and we just go through a math talk, like a little math moment, a little bit. This week we were, and then we went to. This is really what it looked like even back when I first started it. There were like 4 things to do. One had literacy, one had math, one had religion, and the other ones were like sometimes extras. So, but it's modeled a little differently for Education Week because we're only doing the religion/literacy part at our school. That was what was recommended.
Okay.
So we, post the kids' birthdays, post that kind of information, but we do it in Google Classroom, which we were already using.
Hmm.
So like our Google Classroom is just like this. Learned how to clean the stream, which posted every single thing I posted, and I was like, oh my god, these poor kids, they're just going to be bombarded with like news all the time and they don't really know how to sort through all of that information. So cleaned it up so that it's just an announcement, and our French teacher joined us, and our math teacher is down here. So
Hmm.
they became teachers on my classroom, and which I'm sure is best practice amongst everybody. And I invited them in, and they just post themselves. And then for the classwork, another good tip. This was from somebody on YouTube, Joe Sowash, I think is his name. Sorry, it's John Sowash, Sowash. He's believe from Ontario as well, and he's on YouTube, and so many Google hacks and tips. And I thought this was really smart to put an emoji in front of the title because kids are visual.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it, it's not this is like Google Classroom. The problem with it is it's very not tech, sorry, like language heavy, right? So now we just added little emojis. Last week's work is in its own file. So they really are only concentrating on the top two, but it's still there if they need it. These are Loom videos, how-to videos I created for the kids if they needed help. I had used to use Screencastify, but I didn't like it. We used it 5 years ago, so I've never really gone back to it. And then I kind of liked Loom. It's just an aesthetic, I think. I like that little circle. Is that weird? It's probably weird, but so then we just put everything like that and change the fonts on some of them just so that it stands out a little bit more for the kids. And I think it's helped. So like if I look to, let's take Monday's assignment. If I pop up Monday's assignment, I have 15 turned in and 13 still hanging out. Well, that's really only 12 because one is the principals, but so it's not too bad. It's a little over half.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kids just see, we just do 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a lot of learning from each other though. Like that's how the French teacher posted things. And to keep it kind of consistent for the kids, that's why we did it the way we did it.
You know, it's not lost on me that one of the most important things for any teacher, for yourself, no matter who it is that being that organized. I mean, and it's probably more so now that you're in this kind of environment, I would think, and that kind of tools just to keep you organized and being able to keep your students on track. It's essential, isn't it?
Completely. For ourselves, like I think we wing things a lot because we go with the flow, right? I'm not saying like we're not prepared. We completely are, but we can wing it a little bit more, right? It's a little bit more, there's more freedom.
In the class.
Now, yeah, I think I've noticed, like when you talk to me, I talk a lot, and I'm like that in the classroom. So I know the kids would see my face or hear my tone, or they can read me that way. They're not hearing me when they're reading information. So it was to like even use simpler words. Weirdly, I don't talk like that, and I don't talk like that to them. But I felt like maybe it was all this, if I'm feeling overwhelmed at like 50 years old, with all this information coming at me, how are they feeling? And they're getting it from me and from French and from home and from television and from TikTok and whatever else, right? Like they're still getting tons of information. And I needed to simplify. So that was the biggest learn. Still is the biggest learn for me.
Yeah. Well,
I don't talk that way though. Sorry, Steve, I don't. Edit away.
On that note, any final words of advice that you'd like to share with your colleagues out there?
For sure. Get in touch with somebody that you feel like you can be vulnerable with on your staff, or a friend, a colleague, family member, whomever. And I think people have done this, right? They've found their group, and even find your own niche. Like this is, I like to play around with this kind of stuff. I don't think I'm all that tech savvy, but I'm willing to go ahead and try. I mean, I was fighting with my Mac upgrade for 3 hours last night, and it was driving me insane, but I'm like, nobody's going to be here to fix it. So you got to go through it. Right. And just keep going through it. And I think a lot of people are doing that. Like they have to find, where can I get these answers? So I would absolutely strongly suggest Joe's group. You just have to ask to join if you're on Facebook. checking out people on Twitter or on their Instagrams, finding one that you like. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people, but when you find that person that you're like, yeah, this is good, and they think like me, and I feel like this is me, follow those people, and you'll feel good because a lot of your answers will or a lot of your questions will get answered.
Mhm.
So yeah, or the stuff on the board. These people are paid to do this job because they're smart and they know how to do it. And so use other people. And I think teachers try to do everything on their own. And we need to do what like we do for the kids. Like we say to the kids, oh, you got to use each other. We do now. Like we're in that situation. And I think most people feel that and are doing that. Like I said to you before, I'm not special. I'm not different. My principal loved the look of this. And I'm like, I think other people are doing this stuff. Like, come on, like let it go. Right. But it's just been a kind of like curating really good ideas that are out there, but we also have good ideas and we know our kids the best. So sometimes it's got to be simple. And you can't be everything for everybody and still have gas in the tank for yourself. So we got to still take care of ourselves too.
Sure, sure. Those are some great pieces of advice, Bobby. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, good. Take care, eh?
Great. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.